November 10th, 2016. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 113 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, Mike, did you catch the mistake that I made on the last episode?
No, I did not catch any mistakes.
And you probably still don't even know because I haven't told you about this.
No, what'd you?
I actually tweeted and put on Facebook, hey, anybody catch that mistake? And a couple people did. When we were talking about Phil Ivey, using the edge sorting, I said that he had convinced the dealer to turn the cards 90 degrees. Well, if you turn a card 90 degrees, it's sideways. Right. It's not going to go back and what I meant was 180 degrees, obviously. But it's funny because our friend Jim from New York, he responded, he had caught it. And the way that he presented it was he said certain cards are actually rotated pi radians, not pi over 2 radians.
Yes.
Right. That was like a clever way of doing that. So the other night, I'm helping my son with some SAT problems dealing with math. Right. And it has to do with like the arc of a circle or what have you. And I said, yeah, David, I messed this up on the podcast last week. And my wife's in the kitchen. She hears this like, what's he talking about? Nope, it's true. Yeah. Pi radians versus pi over 2 radians versus... So anyway.
So the moral is do your math homework, kids.
Yeah, that's the moral.
Yeah, my girls, do your math homework.
So remember on the last episode, we talked about how at VIMP, you in particular, Dr. Mike, kept hitting the all small tall.
Oh, it was crazy.
Like crazy.
They were hitting like unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, as soon as we posted that last episode, we were bombarded by messages from listeners about how certain casinos have changed the odds on that bet.
Okay.
And
I don't like where it's going.
No, I know.
Go on.
Let's just go through it right now. So the payouts, at least when we were there, every place we played during VIMP, for the small and tall, it was 35 for 1.
Correct.
And for the make 'em all, it was 176 for 1.
Right.
We got so many messages from listeners saying that they now have new payouts where on the small and tall, it's 30 to 1. And on the make 'em all, it's 150 to 1.
Wow. That's a huge difference, 150 versus 176.
It's a huge difference. And let's talk about the house edge. Now, again, when we were there for VIMP, the small and tall, the house edge is 7.76%.
Which is still a big house edge.
It's big. It's a side bet, but it is big, right? So with these new changes, it's going to go from 7.76% house edge to 18.30%.
Jeez.
And it's even worse on the make 'em all. The house edge was 7.47%, actually a lower house edge than the small and tall. Now, the house edge on the make 'em all is 20.61%.
Yikes. 20%.
Mm-hmm. And we've got confirmation that it's happened at Mandalay Bay, Caesars Properties, Golden Nugget, and Wynn. So it's not just like one owner is, it looks like this is across the board.
Well, as soon as one did it, the other said, well, we'll do the same, right?
Yeah. So
that's ridiculous. Well, we can only blame ourselves because it's me winning all of them.
Well, yes, and
that's what did it.
That's what did it. And you know why I'm still going to blame you? Because when we go back, you're still going to bet them.
I'm still going to bet them. You think they'll lower it more if I start hitting them?
Well,
again?
You're taking the claim for them raising it, right? So if you're really the reason, then if you go and you stop playing, it's going to catch their attention.
Yeah, they're going to their pants. I'm walking in the door. It's like, oh my God. All of a sudden it pays 2 to 1. That's it. 2 to 1.
Oh, well, at least we won.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of have a habit now of making the first part of the show the bad beat part of the episode. So
that's the bad beat.
We do have one more bad beat. So Jim, again, our buddy Jim from New York, he was at Downtown Grand and he was talking to some dealers. The dealers told him that they recently went to a meeting and they were told that the free buy bets were going away.
Right.
So
we knew that was eventually going to happen. Well, at least I thought it was eventually going to happen.
I mean, I was hoping it wouldn't, but so anyway, I actually tweeted and I said, hey, anybody who happens to go by Downtown Grand, can you verify that they've gotten rid of it? I actually got a response on Twitter from Downtown Grand, their social media saying, yes, the free buy bets are gone.
Wow.
And then like a marketing, but check out our other great deals.
Right.
But I'm impressed that they responded, because
that is nice.
This is the first time I've ever gotten a response from a casino regarding house rules.
Right.
Usually I don't get any response at all.
No, they don't want it. They don't want to recognize that.
But yeah, to come out and say, yes, here's something that we've gotten rid of, something that people like that so I got to give them credit for that.
You know what's funny? When we were there at Vimp, how many times were they bragging about that?
Oh, yeah, sure. They were saying that's why people were coming in. I know.
And the dealers were saying, oh, that's the best bet in Vegas right there, the best bet. You know, I mean, they were actually promoting it.
Well, and the dealers loved it. I mean, you could tell that the dealers really loved it. We had a good time at Downtown Grand. I could see us going back because we like the cruise and we kind of like the casino.
It was easy to get on a table.
That's what got us there was the free buy bets. And in the future, if we're downtown, we might not walk over there.
Yeah, it's not exactly buy everything else either. It's a little bit of a walk.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, it's a huge walk. It's we're exhausted. We have to sit down and rest when we get there.
That's right. Yeah, before we even play. But anyway, so those are the bad beats. But okay, let's go on to some good beats.
Okay.
So last episode, you said that you were not going to the National Rodeo.
No, because there were
National
no
Finals
tickets.
Rodeo because there were no tickets. Yeah.
Right. Turns out the host from Caesars calls me, and she got tickets.
A Las Vegas host?
A Las Vegas host.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
She called me and said, hey, we managed to procure some more tickets. They're for Friday night, though. Mm-hmm. So we would have preferred Saturday night.
Okay. I see.
Because it's Friday. I have to leave earlier from work.
Okay.
If it was Saturday, we'd leave Friday evening. But now we're going to have to leave Friday
you're going.
morning. But we are going.
You and your wife?
Me and my wife are going. Yeah. We're going to go to the rodeo Friday night.
Yeah.
Saturday is the gift giveaway.
Oh, that's right. It's part of that's the whole reason, really, you're going. It's not just the National Finals Rodeo. It's because you're going
we
for
get the gift, too.
Yeah. Okay.
So we get our
it's
gifts.
The Caesars.
Great gift wrap giveaway.
Great gift wrap up.
Maybe that's it. Great gift wrap up.
But that's really the reason you're going, not the rodeo so much.
Well, no, my wife actually wants the rodeo.
That's right. You weren't going to go if you couldn't go to the rodeo.
Yeah, we weren't going to go if we went to the rodeo because, it's a few little gifts.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
I mean, it wasn't like worth the whole weekend. But now with the rodeo and that, it's worth the whole weekend.
Good. And one final good beat. Remember, we were complaining that up at Harrah's Southern California, they were forcing us to take our free play in table game chips, which we didn't like.
Right.
They've gotten rid of that. Now we have the choice of table game or slot, so now we're able to take in the slot again.
There must have been so much complaining.
Well, I know every once in a while I'll get a questionnaire from them. How was your visit? And I was just complaining like crazy about that.
Well, I think they got a lot of complaints. And once again, I think it was us.
Okay.
I think it was us complaining.
I'll go along with that.
So, we just need to complain more about things and things will change.
Yeah, that's what we need to do, Dr. Mike. Complain more about things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So on November 2nd, Caesars rolled out skill-based gaming at its casinos in Atlantic City in the form of a game called Danger Arena. It's a game where you try to shoot as many robots as you can within a certain amount of time, and then, you get money for that.
Right.
Kyle and Greg from Due for a Win podcast, I know they just got back from Atlantic City, so I'm sure they'll be talking about it on their next show. So check that out, Due for a Win. They'll probably be releasing one here this week or next week. But when I was looking online, a lot of people were saying, I don't know. But we'll see what they have to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to mispronounce this, but it was like Galaga.
Galaga?
Galaga? Is that it? Yeah, Galaga.
It wasn't like Galaga.
Well, you shoot.
No. This is like a first-person shooter. I think you actually had like a
had a gun
that
you shot. Okay, it wasn't like a button that you.
It wasn't
pushed.
like Galaxians coming down the screen. No.
Darn! I love that game.
That's right. All right. Something else in the news. Katrina Bookman was playing a slot machine in late August at Resorts World Casino in Queens, New York, and she hit a jackpot for just under $43 million. It would have been the biggest slot payout in U.S. history, right? $43 million. Well, the casino told her that the machine had malfunctioned and that she had only won $2.25.
A little different.
Yeah.
A little different.
So that's what they...
A little disappointing.
That's what they'd say. That's what they said they would pay her. And because, there was this mishap, they also said, well, we'll give you a free steak dinner.
Oh, nice. Nice. The 99 steak breakfast? Is that what they were talking about?
That was it. Now, these machines, it clearly was a malfunction. Malfunction might be the wrong word because the machines are only supposed to pay out a maximum of $6,500 on any single pull,
But how did it actually print that up, though?
Well, there's actually a picture online that she took, a selfie, and you see a screen. A screen just says, printing ticket for, and it says like 42,900,000 something. It actually shows it on the screen.
I mean, how could that print out?
I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to know how that malfunction happens.
I don't think the ticket actually printed out, but it showed it on the screen. There was nothing ambiguous on the screen.
I mean, how does that get programmed in there?
I don't know.
Right?
I mean,
because
that's a good
sometimes
question.
that has to be stuff has to be in the program to actually present.
Well, see,
itself.
that's why I didn't want to call it a malfunction, because it might just be a bug, which is a little bit different in the software, right?
Yeah.
So,
is there a bug in the software? Did somebody plant something in there?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe she wanted a free steak dinner, and she's got some machine, some that makes the thing print up whatever.
Well, she is now suing them, and she's only suing them for the maximum amount, the $6,500.
It's probably small claims court, I would imagine.
I'm surprised that they haven't just settled. I mean, and say, we'll give you a steak dinner. $6,500. Come on. Now, obviously, $43 million, they can't do that. It'd put them out of business. And it's ridiculous. And, it's the biggest slot payout in history. It was obviously
but the $6,500 is not going to bug them.
No.
I'll tell you what. Give her the $6,500, the free steak dinner, and a well drink.
Oh, that'd be good. From the gun?
From the gun, yeah. A well drink from the gun.
That's great. And the $2.25. Let's not forget about that.
Well, of course.
She's really entitled to that.
That is what she's really entitled to.
Yes.
And then the attorney fees will be...
That's right. Well, see, that's what all right, I'm not a lawyer.
I'll represent her for the well drink.
The thing
I'll just take the well drink.
You'd think that they'd want to avoid their own, legal costs, right? To try to defend themselves. All right. Anyway,
exactly. Okay. Well, their legal costs and just the bad PR.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Why not get some good PR out of it?
Get some good PR out of it.
I mean,
give her twice the payout, right? Yeah. Twice the jack.
Exactly.
Oh, here he goes, our fault.
Well, actually, that's cheap PR.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, because you'll get a lot of press out of it and stuff, and to get good press is
I don't know. Maybe they hate to set a precedent and they don't want to.
Yeah. Well, maybe she has a button and she'll be doing it at every casino.
Maybe. She didn't seem like the type that was doing that. But
when I read this, I wished her name was Boxman.
Oh, Katrina Boxman instead of Bookman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
because when I first read it, I just Boxman came into my head. That would be perfect.
Yeah, that would be perfect. So more news. So you probably heard about this. So at Paris and Las Vegas, they lost power for a good 12 hours. Some reports said 20 hours, but it was it looked like 14 hours. Anyway, what happened was a contractor drilled through the property's main power line, including that of the backup generator.
He just kept going. I got the main line. Now I'm going to get the generator. That'll teach them. Yeah, 6'5" blackjack. Screw you.
This was Thursday morning, November 3rd, about 9:45 in the morning. Power didn't start to come back on again until 10:30 that night. And I guess, it was like pitch black.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. And there's no windows.
They finally, were making announcements. Oh, the power will come on, soon. It wasn't soon, right?
Yeah.
So they evacuated the building. And think about it. If you needed to go up to your room to get something, right? Because you have to get out of there.
Can't get in your door.
Well, it's not just that. It's, climbing the stairs, right? Because the elevators aren't working, right? So, you're on the 18th floor or something. It's like, oh,
well, I imagine
gosh,
the door things wouldn't work without power.
I don't know how they would do that too. Maybe that's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know if those are electrical. I assume they are.
Anyway, it's funny because my sister called me and she said, "Oh, Dad, did you hear about Paris?" Oh, yeah. What do they do in the casino in that case? And I said, "Oh, well, what they probably do is the dealers, know to protect the chips, and the players, they already have their chips. That's okay." And she said, "Well, no. I mean, what about the people who had money on the slots?" And I thought, "But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, right?
What do they do? Guard your machine and hope that it reset. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, see, that's the thing, right? So here's what they said in the Review Journal. I'm just going to read from this article. A few things still remained in question Friday afternoon, including when exactly the resort would be able to pay back the many customers who still had money in slot machines at the time of the sudden power outage. Those guests had been asked Thursday to turn in slips of paper with a description of what was owed and their contact information. Paris officials then told guests the resort would mail guests their money and winnings once power had been restored and the amount of money owed could be verified.
Now, how do you verify
Oh my gosh, what a nightmare this seems. I would guess that in the case of like reasonable amounts, I had $50 on there, they just give it to them.
Right.
and only in the case of, oh my gosh, I just hit a jackpot, or I had $1,000.
Well, there's somebody in high limit who might have had several $1,000.
And how they actually check that, I suppose that there's certain memory in the slot that even if power fails, they'll be able to look at that.
Yeah.
But they can't verify that a customer was necessarily at that slot. Are they going to go back and look at the foot? I don't know. It just seems like a nightmare to me.
There, they might be able. There might be something that says the last person who played this was Katrina Bookman, and we owe her $43 million.
That's right. It checks out, boss. All right, write the check. You know what I was thinking too? Here was when I was talking about how the dealers are trained to protect the chips. What's to prevent dealers from just pocketing a few chips? So it's pitch black?
It's pitch black. There's no cameras, right? All the power's out.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess they could take account.
Before and after and see if anything's missing. But I mean...
But you could say, as a dealer... I guarantee most of them would not do this. It's not worth losing your job.
No.
But if they wanted to, they could say, well, I tried to guard him. Maybe that guy there grabbed some.
I'll tell you this. I do agree with you that most would not, but I would say I bet you some did.
Oh, I bet you they did too. Yeah, there's always some, right?
Yeah.
There's always some. Because like I said, you could just say anything. You could say, well, I don't know. Somebody walked by and grabbed that $500 chip.
Yeah, sure.
How would they know? Yeah. Unless they checked everybody out as they left.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They could.
But I mean, it's so... Well, anyway, it sounds like a nightmare. They finally got power restored a little bit after midnight, technically early Friday morning. And,
I'm just wondering about rooms. I mean...
Yeah, I know.
Even if you can get up to your room and let's say the door works, it's pitch black in your room.
You're right.
Well, what are you going to do? You just lay on the bed?
Well, it was during the day, so it's not pitch black in your room.
Well, but
it would be pitch black in the hallway.
Till midnight.
Oh, yeah. If you go up there later, sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you're after dark, it's very dark in those rooms.
What a nightmare. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. So last week, Mike, you and I made a trip to the new Hollywood casino Jamul.
Yeah, with my mom and dad.
That's right, on a Sunday night.
The unlikely crew. Me, Mark, my mom. Now, if it's just my dad, that'd be okay, but it was my mom and dad and you and I on a Sunday night.
On a Sunday night, yes.
After a football game.
As always. Yeah. So what'd you think of Hollywood Casino Jamul?
Well, I liked it. I mean, I liked the look of it.
Yeah, I thought the look was great. That it was kind of open, high ceilings. Definitely had that.
The casino had an open feel, which I like. I very much like that, especially in Indian casinos because they tend to be smaller and cramped sometimes.
Yeah. And this place was kind of small, but it had a nice Hollywood Art Deco theme to it. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I thought it looked good. The service was good.
I thought so.
We got a player's card, and they had a bunch of extra people.
Yeah, so they anticipated new players coming in. That's right.
So because I thought that was going to be a nightmare.
Right.
Because I thought, everyone's going to be getting a card.
Right. And just to remind listeners, Penn National Gaming owns this casino, along with a lot of other Hollywood casinos around the country, and Tropicana in Las Vegas and the M Resort in Las Vegas. So that's the Players Club that we signed up for. Yeah, that was very efficient.
Yeah, and that was nice. The casino itself looked nice. They had ample restaurants and stuff like that. The things I didn't like, one craps table. Now, I know that's me, right? That's not going to be most people. But for us, if we went and the table was full...
what do we do? We were there on a Sunday night. We had no trouble getting on.
No,
we don't know what it's like on a weekend night.
Right. It was good on Sunday night. What other things did I not like? I guess the only other thing I can say is, for us... We don't go to the Tropicana that much, and we don't go to M because
I can't see us really using
way far
those
out
in Las Vegas. Yeah.
So, we're probably not going to go back there. Although the very next day, that was Sunday night, Monday morning, the host called me and wanted me to come out that weekend. Can I set you up for this weekend? And I'm like, set me up for what?
Yeah. That right. There's no hotel.
There's no hotel. So what are they going to give you?
And you could. I was going to say you should have responded with, "Well, hey, look, here's the free play I get every week from Harrah's. Can you match that?"
Can you
Which
match
they
that?
probably was no.
No. Yeah. She left a message on our answering machine at home because I was at work. But when I got home, I'm like, well, I didn't even return the call. What are you going to give me? There's no hotel. There's nowhere for me to stay.
Yeah.
What I'm going to get the steak dinner and the free well drink. I don't need it.
I think two reasons for me that I won't be going back. Number one, just what we talked about. I'm going to get way more comps up at Harrah's. Number two, I do not like the location of this place. I mean, it's convenient, right? It's right there.
It's close for us.
It's very close. We talked about it before. It's right in the middle of this great community, and it is kind of an eyesore. I mean, it's a beautiful facility, but not for this rural area. It's really in the wrong spot.
Well, the funny thing is, for people who live out that way, the reason they live out there is because they like a rural setting. They like to see the countryside and everything. And then all of a sudden, there's this huge casino, and it's tall.
Yeah.
It's built on the side of a hill.
It's not subtle.
And it's not subtle at all.
And it's funny, when we were driving out there, your parents were saying, well, this road isn't so bad. But when we were driving back and it was dark, you really get a feeling of how dark that road is and windy and fast.
And then that's when my dad said, oh, no, I couldn't do this. I couldn't drive.
Come out here by
I couldn't come out by myself. Yeah.
But let's talk about some of the things in there, because I did kind of like the casino. First of all, we took a look at video poker. Video poker was not very good. Almost everything was progressive, but the progressives weren't much higher than the standard pay. And when I was there, I saw 8-5 jacks or better, 6-5 bonus poker. It really didn't
6-5 bonus poker.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was worth playing.
Interest us.
We were there on a Sunday night again, so $5 minimum at the craps table. For blackjack, I saw $10 and $25 minimum. They did have $15 Fortune Asia poker.
That's kind of high, I think.
Yeah, $15 Fortune Pai Gow poker. They had a lot of Fortune 7 Baccarat tables. And then they had a lot of carnival games. They had 4-card poker, which you don't see very much around here. So that was something. Mississippi Stud, Let It Ride, 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em. All of those were $5 on a Sunday night.
Yeah, but how many of those are going to be there 3 months from now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're starting off with a wide variety, and then they're going to narrow it down and see what people play. And they're going to get rid of stuff.
Yeah. One of the things I did like about the place, when you're on the inside at least, they have this one kind of restaurant bar area that's upstairs. It's called Loft 94, and it has this big open space. You can actually walk outside onto this patio area, and you look out over the valley. So if you're actually in the building, it looks great because you don't see the casino in front of you. You see all this.
You see the nice valley.
That's right. What do you think of Loft 94, Mike?
Well, to be honest, I didn't see Loft 94 because it was about, what do you say, 30 feet or so
Maybe
from the craps table.
From the craps table, yeah.
So way too far.
Yeah, you didn't make it.
I would have been
there.
exhausted when I got there. I would have had to sit down. It wouldn't have been worth it.
We got there, and I actually walked around to check the place out.
That's your job.
I took pictures and went Mike went straight for the craps table, and when we were done, he cashed out and we left. Yeah. I even told your mom, oh yeah, take Mike's dad up to Loft 94.
My mom went up there.
Yeah, and so she's telling your dad, oh yeah, come on, let's go up. And your dad said, any machines up there? No, nah.
But she went up there. My mom went up by herself and checked it out. So my dad, he didn't like the machines.
Okay.
He said he couldn't find one that he was familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
He said, there are a lot of new machines
I haven't seen. Yeah, it was all new machines.
He said things I haven't seen before. So he wasn't happy about that. So he played craps and actually won playing craps. So,
that worked out good. So, we had a good trip, but we talked about it. We probably won't go back for those reasons. But it's a very nice place if anybody wants to visit it.
They have a pretty good-sized parking structure, although that parking structure would be confusing for elderly people.
It was confusing. Yeah, there's no question. They do have valet.
They do have valet. Yeah. Even you and I in the parking structure were like, turn here? No, turn here.
I know.
It was a lot of that stuff, and I was like, what? Yeah. This should be kind of cut and dry.
Clear.
Right?
It was not clear. That's all right, so let's talk about 360 Vegas Vacation 4. So Mark over at 360 Vegas has confirmed some of the events for 360 Vegas Vacation 4 coming up in May of 2017, and they include 2 meetups with podcast personalities. The first one is on Monday, May 29th at 4 p.m. at the Baccarat Bar Lounge in Bellagio. It's a meet and greet with Michael Mavestro from the Vegas Bright podcast, Mark Meltzer from Melts Vegas, and Scott Robin from Vital Vegas. We finally met Scott at the Craps meetup at Luxor.
Yeah, right.
I think he got there
after we had won the all tall
small. So he missed out on that.
It was a little later.
So he came in later. So I don't know if he won, but I think he was happy because a couple of pretty girls stood right next to him after a little while. Yeah.
I don't know where they were from.
Who's new?
It was like
where
just
they came
dropped
from
heaven. These 2 pretty girls who just came in to the craps table, and they stayed.
Yeah.
Because usually you'll see 2 women like that alone together, and they come and they're there for a few minutes, then you look up and they're gone.
Yeah, they look like they were on their way to a club.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and they were there for like an hour, so they were standing right next to him.
Yeah, so I think Scott was happy. Then on Tuesday, May 30th, at Chandelier Bar in the Cosmopolitan, a meet and greet with the 2 of us, as well as Chris from the Aces and Faces podcast. Now, Chris hasn't released an episode since July. of this year. So hopefully he hasn't pod faded, and hopefully he still plans on attending. But I assume he's going to be releasing another episode of Faces and Aces before too long.
So when we're at the Cosmopolitan, I'll obviously be there for the meet and greet. But over at Bellagio, they have those nice crap tables there. So I'll go for the initial,
You'll say hi
to everybody, and then silently sneak off to the craps tables.
Okay. All right. Very good. Aces and Faces, Faces and Aces, which was one of them is the podcast and one of them is the video poker machine. I think it's Faces and Aces podcast.
Yeah, it's Aces and Faces
for the video poker.
I believe.
Confused. And there are many more events. So I'll post a link to the 360 Vegas Vacation 4 schedule in our show notes. All right, let's go on to our voicemail. We have a couple of voicemails backed up here because we didn't take any calls last week.
So no, we had too much to talk about.
That's too much from Vimp. Anyway, call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Ryan.
Hey guys, this is Ryan once again. Thought I'd give you a quick little recap of some of the events that went down on my last little trip to Vegas. Typical craps trip, but on the way back, I had to make a stop state line, which I haven't done in a while, but played at Prim. They have the 3-4-5 $5 minimum, so I was a little bit behind from Vegas, so I decided to go here, and man, I saw the worst craps player ever, I'd say, man, and she was it was a couple, and they looked like they had played craps before, but they just weren't playing very smart. This woman actually hit 6 points in a row. And she was only betting $5 on the pass line, never backing her odds. Her husband didn't play the pass line at all during this run. So me and my buddy, we're high-fiving, with max odds on ours. And what they're doing, she's got 5 on the pass line. They're putting $5 each on the big 6 and the big 8. And then every now and then there'd be a come bet, and they'd take odds on a come bet. Anyway, we came up on that one, and man, they missed out. I just couldn't believe that one after another, point, and no odds on anything. Anyway, not the right way to play, but just had to mention that I was, that helped us out overall. The trip went pretty well, ended up pretty much even. I took some money and threw it down for some future bets, and I got the World Series, I got the Blue Jays on there. I was actually there when they swept the Rangers, so I won a little on that, and then I just rolled it over to a World Series win, so let's see what happens there. But, yeah, man, 6-pointer, and girl didn't get nothing off it hardly. Just thought I'd bring that up. Don't do that to all you people out there listening. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah, it shows you how old that call is because he's talking about the Blue Jays in the World Series. Oh, speaking of which, Cubbies win the World Series. Of course, that's
amazing.
Huge here in our house because my wife is from Illinois, longtime Cubs fan.
Right.
And so I was rooting for him too, not just because she's from Illinois, but just because, it's the Cubs, right?
It's the Cubs. A lot around the country they were. I wonder what Ryan put his money on in the World Series.
Well, he probably had the Blue Jays going all the way. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like got some futures on there. Yeah. So anyway, we're very happy around here. And I kind of mentioned this before. I really wanted the Cubs to win also so that we could just whine as much as we want now about being San Diego sports fans. Now, I know the analogy is not perfect because Chicago has had some winning teams in other sports.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. The Bulls. Do you remember the Bulls?
Yeah, exactly.
That guy, Michael Jordan?
I know. But, the Cub fans were kind of in a league of their own, so to speak.
Right.
More than a century without it. So now that the monkey's off their back, now we can just whine like crazy.
See, I never gave them that much respect. I know if you're a pure baseball fan, you watch nothing else, you deserve it.
Yeah.
But most of those guys, they're Bulls fans, they're Blackhawk fans.
Sure.
And they've had championships.
Oh, yeah.
The Bears have certainly won a few championships.
Yeah.
So in San Diego, we got nothing.
Yeah, we got
like minor league hockey. I mean, it's so minor that half their season is spent playing high school teams.
That's minor, my friend.
Yeah, that is minor.
Well, and here, this is the day after the election. Well, we might as well talk about this, too. So there's a proposition here in the city of San Diego,
right?
Prop C, to raise funds for a new casino. And it was going to be a tax on tourists.
New casino?
No, sorry.
We're getting a new casino. I voted no on that. What was I thinking?
A new stadium. Boy, I'm a one-track mind, huh? Unbelievable.
Well, it is a podcast about gambling.
Prop C to get a new stadium built downtown. It would be a tax on tourists at the hotels.
Yeah, right.
And it needed a 2/3 majority to pass. It didn't even get a simple majority.
No, well, it got 38%.
And you and I aren't surprised at all.
No,
at all. And that shows you the sort of the emotional attitude towards the Chargers here.
Right. Well, for one thing, 2/3. Come on, I could put a prop on the ballot saying I'm going to pass out $50 bills, and it would get defeated if I needed 2/3.
Well, no, but that's by law, right? It has, because it's a tax thing. It's not like they could have just made it a majority.
Right, but it's just ridiculous.
It
There's
really
no way that'll
something.
pass for that reason. Number two, people in San Diego, we've been duped before.
Yes, that's the other thing too, right?
We've been duped plenty of times. So we know that in the long run, the money's not coming from them. It's going to come. It eventually will come from us.
Something else is going to happen. Exactly. And again, it is so frustrating to be a Chargers fan.
Right.
Obviously, people who voted no, a lot of them weren't sports fans at all, didn't want to have anything to do with it. But I'm sure a lot of Chargers fans voted against it.
I was a season ticket holder for 20 plus years, and I voted no.
You did?
Len and I voted no.
Okay, I wasn't able to vote because I don't live in the city of San Diego.
No, we voted no because number one, I just think that eventually we'd end up having to pay something in our property taxes for it. And I'm not paying for a multi-millionaire, almost billionaire to get a free rent. Nobody pays my rent.
Yeah. All right. That's all the politics we're going to talk.
But just real quick on a sports issue. They did say today, the Charger owner, that until the season ends, they're going to make no determination. And I got the feeling they're going to stay here anyway.
Right.
They have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Right? The Raiders are going to go to Vegas.
Well, but doesn't one team have to go to L.A., either the Chargers or the Raiders?
No, it doesn't. And from what I've heard, the NFL only wants the Rams in L.A. anyway.
That would make more sense.
It would make a lot more sense.
All right, let's get back to Ryan's call. So he's talking about these people. First of all, Prim is great when you're driving home because it's like your last chance to try.
Right.
And I've seen you make huge comebacks in Prim.
We've made some big comebacks in Prim. The thing about it is that was before we had Indian casinos. Now we can probably just drive back. Keep going. Let's just stop at Harrah's by our house.
But getting back to Ryan's call, have you noticed, Mike, that there are certain craps players that for whatever reason don't really want to have anything to do with the point?
Right.
They don't bet the pass line, and then once a point's been established, they'll take other numbers, but they won't bet on the point. You see quite a few players that for whatever reason...
Yeah. It always cracks me up that they won't take the point, and then once a point's established, they'll take all the other numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking... Well, why not the point?
Yeah, why not
that 6 on the line has a better chance of coming up than the 9.
There's no rationale behind it that I can think of. It's the way they like to play, but I don't understand.
Sometimes you hear people say, "Well, I don't bet until the person's rolled 5 times because they've established themselves as a shooter or whatever." All that crap, but. That doesn't even apply to most of those people because right after the point's made, they take every other number.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I don't get it.
Play however you want. But
the same guy throws his money in the field.
Yeah, and definitely don't put $5 each on the big 6 and 8, right?
I'll tell you, if they were doing that, they had not played craps before.
Yeah, you'd think so. But then Ryan was saying every once in a while they'd make a come bet and they'd take odds on the come bets.
Yeah.
But not on the pass line.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
All right. Thanks for the call, Ryan. All right, let's hear from our good friend Victor.
Gentlemen, great seeing you guys. It's Vince and everybody else. Hello, listeners. This is Victor from Los Angeles. Wanted to say hello and say it was really great that worked out. The Craps meet up at Luxor on Sunday night was so successful. They had to open up a second table because there were so many of us playing. It's really nice to play with people like that, people of like minds. Yeah, I wanted to share a couple of things. One with them is that, after we had the No Bingo event, we all got to head back over to the Strip. And, I ended up with the two of you and Adam, Vegas Fanboy in my car, and giving you guys a ride back over to the Strip. And I got to tell you that I was acting pretty cool. We were having a conversation. But what I was really thinking was, I've got 3 Vegas podcast royalty in my car. Please don't let me get in an accident. I don't know if you noticed, but I was driving like 12 miles an hour the whole time. So glad we got there clean. The other thing that I got to tell you that I've been really wondering about is you guys always talk about how you guys have been friends forever. You guys did the casino company thing together. You spent all your time together. You ended up going to the California card rooms. You were telling us a story about that during the live podcast. You guys would go there every weekend. You ended up going to Harrah's all the time. You guys pretty much spent all your time together in gambling. And it made me think 2 things. One is that, shout out to our wives, mine too, who are champions. They seem to be really supportive of us, trust us in this hobby of ours. So yours certainly seem that way. But it makes me kind of wonder, too, is how did you guys end up meeting women? I mean, it's nothing personal, but you guys did end up married. And you must be some pretty smooth talkers.
It's a miracle.
I'd like to hear about that.
Okay. Smooth talkers. No, I wouldn't say that we're smooth talkers.
Yeah, no, I don't think
back in the day, we'd be out at the casino playing Pai Gow poker. We'd be, I wish I had a girlfriend. Right. Put another $100 on the next hand.
Every ride home, it was like, why don't I have a girlfriend?
That's right. Well,
and we can never figure it out. Tell me what's going on.
We both lucked out. There's no question about it. Now, the way I met my wife, my roommate at the time, he was working at an insurance company, and she was also working there. And he said to her, "Oh, you've got to meet my roommate. I think you guys would be perfect for each other." So she came over to our apartment for a party that we were having, and I was a real jerk, which is kind of my style.
That's initially. Your thing. That's your thing.
But she looked beyond that, and we eventually started dating, and it turns out it was a really good match. And, she knew going in about the gambling. I think she probably was initially concerned because there was a lot of gambling going on, and she knew that we had a poker game every week. But it's been great. And, talk about a saint, talking about our wives being saints. Yeah, she's great about it when you consider that we've got a poker game each week. We do this podcast. We go out to the casino virtually every week. We go for these events, VIMP and 360 Vegas Vacation, right? So, I definitely lucked out. And that was after being in not that great a relationship. So, really lucked out. We both had bad relationships
in the past.
Definitely.
And not related to any gambling.
Oh, no. It's just, we
picked the wrong people.
We were matched up with the wrong people.
Yeah. And then, same, just like you, I happened to find I ran into the right one. Is actually my wife's cousin who introduced me to her. Actually, when her cousin got married, I was at the wedding because I knew her cousin and, we all worked together and stuff. And my wife was there too. Totally ignored me.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried you talk about smooth talking. I was throwing out all my best lines.
All the good ones.
Totally ignored me. Yeah. Then like 15 years later, she wants to marry me.
Oh, really? Was that long?
It was a while.
Was it really?
Well,
did you use the cream cheese line where you just you yell across the room and say, "Hey, I'm eating cream cheese."
We should tell that story someday.
Well, here, I'll tell it right now.
All right.
So this is years ago before we had cell phones, right? And I'm up in the room, and Mike is down at the craps table, and he asks for a phone. Because, can I borrow the house phone? They used to have them right there by the table. He calls me. I wake up in the room and hello? I'm eating cream cheese. And he just hangs up. Why is it funny? Who knows?
Who knows?
He was eating cream cheese. He felt that was real important to call. Pretty funny, huh, folks?
Remember I did that at the airport, too, to Paul?
That's right, Paul.
Our friend Paul, who's, very shy and quiet, reserved. We were waiting for a trip to Vegas, waiting and thing. And I was eating cream cheese.
Yeah, you were.
I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Hey, look at me. I'm eating cream cheese." And everyone turned around, and there's Paul. His face just gets so red. I'm thinking, what's he embarrassed about? I'm the one eating the cream cheese.
People probably think Paul doesn't even exist. What we talk about. Of course, he was on the show once, so was he real? I don't know.
His voice was anyway. But anyway, getting back to my wife. So anyway, years later, her cousin said, hey, I was single at the time, and said, hey, you should meet my cousin, and blah 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 worked out, and I knew it was a perfect match right off the bat because we went to SeaWorld. On our first date, I showed up in my old beat-up car that I had at the time.
You used to call it a chick magnet, right?
Yeah, it was not a chick magnet, but I called it that.
It's a hatchback, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a hatchback. And I had a Mountain Dew. This is like at 9 a.m. I had a Mountain Dew and a big old thing of Sweet Tarts. Uh-huh. And she looked at me as she sat in my beat-up car and said, "Is that your breakfast?" Uh-huh. And I said, "Yeah." "Why?" And she still wanted to go to the date.
Said, "Will you marry me?"
So we go to SeaWorld, and here's the funniest story of all. We're at SeaWorld. They don't have this anymore, but they had the Shamu show, the big whale show, right? And there was that front area they called the splash zone where the whale would come up and splash.
Yeah.
So we're setting up kind of high. We look down there. There's this guy. I mean, he was a monster man. Huge guy. Had to be like 6'5" and probably 400 pounds. Yeah. And we could never see the front side of him, his chest. But he had shorts on, no shirt. And on his back, tattooed in Old English style, was BACK. in Old English. So, to give it a little style. And we laughed.
So you knew that was his back.
I knew that was his back. And we laughed so hard. I mean, the two of us laughed so hard, and come on, turn around. He never turned around. And when he walked off, he walked away from us. So to this day, I do not know if it said front or chest on the other side. I mean, front would be the logical thing.
Yeah,
right?
front would make more sense, but
it might have
maybe
said
not.
Chest.
Chest would have worked.
Yeah. So we never found that out. We laughed so hard. And it was at that point we thought, and if you ask my wife, she'd say the same thing. We thought, well, we're perfect for each other. We both found that funny.
Yeah, so we're certainly lucky. All right. And Victor's lucky too. He's got twins.
Yeah, he's got twin children. And his wife still let him come for Vimp on a Sunday night.
She's a saint too. All right, back to Victor.
I've actually been meaning to call in to give you a report on a couple of things. The main thing was that, I came back actually a few months ago with some friends, a group of friends from college, and we all wanted to play poker in Vegas. And some of us are poker players, some of us are definitely not, including me. And, some of us were a little intimidated. So we kind of explored where to play and what we were going to do. I had a home game at my place to practice with the neighbors. And we ended up wandering into Binion's. And we walked in, middle of the day on a weekend, nobody in there. It was empty, like we thought that it was closed. But there was somebody in there, and we said, hey, are you guys open? He said, sure. We said, what are you guys dealing? He said, what do you want? And we told him we wanted to play, and he said, anything you want, no problem. Sat us down, opened up a table, me and my few other friends. There was 5 of us total, and we just started to play. Super experienced, really nice. They'll do whatever you want. I actually noticed halfway through the game, there's a sign on the wall that says, we'll deal whatever you want. Some other guys walked in later, joined the game. It was still very cool, very casual, terrific experience. If you want to do it, go for it. Go downtown, maybe Binion's, jump in, play a game. Yeah, that was terrific. So the other thing I was going to tell you about was Cosmopolitan over by the High Limit Room video poker machine. Read the sign. Put $50 in the machine, hit max bet, and of course usually that's 5 credits. It wasn't. It was my whole $50, one hand. I'm looking at 2 10s and thinking, oh my God, do I really play it? Do I just hold that queen and try for a dash or better and get my money back? Screw it. I went for it. Hit it. Full house. Worth $400. Woo. Read the sign. Kind of, shady, I think. They really should make that more clear, but always check. Good seeing you guys.
Good. Well, I'm glad you won. But that's good advice. Make sure you know the denomination of the machine you're playing before you hit the button. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we should say this again. We've already said this, but thanks, Victor, for giving us a ride downtown.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. He gave us a ride to the strip from downtown.
From downtown. Yeah, and his driving was fine as far as I was.
I didn't notice anything.
What I was thinking is, when are we going to get to the craps table?
Yeah, that's always what I'm thinking, too. When we're in any car, any time of the day, no matter where I'm actually going.
Right.
When are we going to get to the craps table? That's great news about the poker room at Binion's. I mean, that's terrific, especially because we hear so many bad things about Binion's, the craps and everything. And Mike, I don't think I've told you this. The latest word is that now all of their blackjack is 6 to 5.
Really?
At Binion's.
At Binion's.
Downtown,
Benny Binion is flipping over.
Yeah, he's spinning in his grave. Yeah. But that's great news about the poker room, especially, we'll deal whatever you want. Oh, okay, well, let's play Badoogie.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we'll deal it.
It's funny, too. They're all friends on the table, so... Yeah. The casino's going to make money on the casino, right?
Yeah, pretty soon, all the friends, nobody has any money left.
Yeah, right.
Hey, what happened?
It's just all gone.
That's right. All right. Hey, let's hear from Cousin Vito.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Cousin Vito from Connecticut. Just got off a hot craps table, and had a good game, and I wanted to ask you guys a question. I did really well, and I got my first tip of my lifetime from a fellow player. The player next to me was playing the hops bets. So I hit 2 hard 4s in a row. He had the hard 4. He was hopping the 4. And, I try and teach people how to play craps, but I never include the hops bet in my tutorial. So I was wondering if you guys could give me just a basic rundown of the hops bets, how I could explain it to my friends, Maybe one guy play the angel on one shoulder, and Dr. Mike, you could play the devil on the other shoulder. Thank you very much. Hope to hear from you soon.
We should mention, too, we were guests on Cousin Vito's show a few weeks back.
Right.
That was a great experience. And the last 2 episodes he had on the Annoyed Pit Boss and Robin from Anytime Gambling. 2 separate episodes. Those were great episodes. Yeah. So if you haven't listened to those, go back and listen to those. Okay, hot bets at the craps table.
Well, you want to explain what they are first?
Yeah, that's what we're going to explain. All right, when you're at a craps table, you can actually make a bet that any combination of the dice is going to come up. Not just, I think a 4 is going to come up. You can say, I think a 3 and a 1 are going to come up on the next roll. One of the dice is going to have 3, one of the other one's going to have 1. You can make those bets. Those are called hot bets. And when you make a hot bet, you throw your money into the middle of the table. You tell them what combination you want to bet on. And then they book it. Most tables now have the hot bets on the layout, but some don't. We were at Main Street Station. They did not have it.
Caesars has never had it.
And so it's basically up to the boxman to just remember what the bet is.
Right.
But you throw it in. If you pick a combination of two numbers that are different, so if you say 3-1, you're betting 3-1's going to come up on the dice. It'll pay 15-1.
Right, because there's two ways. It can be 1 and a 3 or a 3 and a 1 on the dice.
That pays 15-1. Same as an 11.
Right.
If you want to look on the layout, because that's all.
That's
an 11.
The easiest way to remember.
That's a hot bet. You're betting that the next roll is going to be 6-5.
Exactly.
Right. If you're betting that the next roll is going to be a pair, like 3-3, a hard way, that pays 30-1.
Just like a 12 or a 2.
Right.
A 1 and a 1 or a 6 and a 6.
Just look in the right, exactly. So you can make that, and it's a one-roll bet, and you just say, okay, I want to bet, 32. You'll say, get 32. That means you're betting on a 3-2.
Hop the 3-2.
Hop the 3-2. Yeah, you just throw it in there, and then they take care of it.
And if you want both the 5s, the 3-2 and the 4-1, you'll say hop the 5s, and if you give them $10, they'll assume 5 on each one.
Yeah, so just to clarify what you're saying, you want to bet on every possible combination of the 5. Well, there are only 2, 1-4 and 3-2. Doesn't 1-4 is the same as 4-1. They don't distinguish between the dice. So you say, just hop the 5. You'll give them $10. They'll put $5 on the 3-2. They'll put $5 on the 4-1.
Right.
Now, the reason that Cousin Vito does not teach this to new craps players is because they're terrible bets. Cousin Vito, you may not have even known that was the reason that you weren't doing it, but that's the reason. Now, I'm saying this because they have terrible house edges. Dr. Mike, I'm going to throw it over to you because you're a hot better. You do it all the time, but this is the last I'll say. They're terrible, terrible bets with huge house edges.
I will agree with you. They're terrible bets with huge house edges. However, they're fun bets.
All right.
And that's the thing.
That's the
thing.
They're
fun bets.
They're fun bets.
So now you have never seen me make a hot bet when I am down or on a bad roll. It's usually when the roll's going great.
That's
now,
true.
I still may be down for the day, but we're on some mega hot roll and
That's
I'm
true.
making a comeback and I want that 9 to come up to win the fire bet or make our point or whatever. And so I hop the 9, just hoping that I'll hit it both. The 9 will come up. And it's not going to win that often.
No.
But they're fun when they hit, and I do it when I'm ahead.
Yep.
And so, it's just another way to have fun with the game if that's your intention.
That's what we've always said. Bet however you want as long as you're having fun, but be aware of the math.
Yeah, the math is not in your favor.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. But the devil in me will tell you that have a little fun, loosen up.
That's why you won so much in Vegas.
Yeah, right.
Betting
exactly.
That all small tall. I never bet it once.
If it hadn't been for that, I would have had a losing trip.
I know.
A big
Like
losing
me.
trip.
Like me.
Yeah. And instead, it was a big winner.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thanks, Vito. All right. Let's hear from Carl.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. Carl from Maryland checking in with you once again. I found myself this past week over in Dover, Delaware, and it was the only casino in Dover that I have yet to be to. So I decided to swing in, kill an hour first thing in the morning, get my $1 chip, and move on. Luckily, they did have a few tables open. Like I said, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning when I got there. I left about 10:30, went over to the craps table. They only had half of the table open, but they only had 1 or 2 people on at any given time. Not bad. $5 minimum, 10 times odds, which whose bankrolls can't like that. But they also had a side bet that I don't know if you've talked about before, and it's called the Hot Roller Side Bet. As with any craps side bet, doctor's orders, I had to put at least a nickel up on it, so $5 up.
There you go.
Bought in for $200, $5 pass line with usually 3, 4, 5 times odds. Sometimes pressed it up, but I had a young man who was shooting next to me, and he was only the second person that I saw shoot. And he ended up and proceeded to hit most of the items on the side bet and ended up getting 20 times on that $5 bet, so made $100, as well as he had just a monster roll. Ended up coloring up right after he finished, up like $600 over a 30-minute roll. So after the roll was all said and done and I colored up, ended up tipping the shooter a green chip, $25, just because he made me so much money. And then I ended up walking over to the cages. Well, he met up with me like 5 minutes later and said, hey, thanks, I really appreciate it. He was just magnanimous about me tipping him like that. And then he said, hey, just so you know, I come here about this time every morning, and I typically always throw that good. So if anyone is in the Dover, Delaware area, go to Dover Downs, and there's a young man who can really throw dice extremely well, and you can make a lot of money off of them. Food for thought. Anyways, I'm going to send you pictures of the side bet. I took pictures of the felt off of another table, and you can look at it and discuss further if you want to. Thanks, Dr. Mike.
All right.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great day.
So, yeah, good. Thanks, Carl, for that advice. We actually have talked about the hot roller bet before back on episode 79, so go back and listen to that. But basically, what you try to do is you try to roll every possible combination of the point numbers.
Right.
And if you roll at least 2, you get paid. So, like, if you roll every possible way you can roll a 4, which is 1, 3, and 2, 2, kind of like the hot bets we were talking about. And every possible combination of 9, right, which is 5, 4, and 6, 3.
6, 3.
Then you've made 2 of them, and you get paid a certain amount. If you make all 6, you win the big amount. So
it's harder to do the even numbers, right? Because you got to get the hard way, which is harder to make.
Sure, there are more ways to do it. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's a fun bet. We've never seen it on any tables. I want to say that they had it at Orleans in Las Vegas. Don't quote me on that, but we've still never seen it.
We've never played it.
No, we've never played it. Yeah. So, all right, let's hear from Wendell.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Wendell from Denton, Texas, part of the DDB crew, and I just want to call and say about my trip report for Ben. I had a great time this year, and y'all did a great job on Sunday. I enjoyed that, and we got there a little earlier than everybody else. Me and my wife were there for 5 nights, so we got there Wednesday night. And I didn't do too well Wednesday night. I was down a few hundred. And then Thursday, I ran into you guys at the craps table. And I'd actually played Wednesday night for the first time in Vegas with real money at the craps table for $100. And I lasted like 45 minutes, and I finally lost it. And
That's
I went
pretty
to bed.
good.
I was still happy with that because, I never really bet on craps in Vegas. So I thought 45 minutes, it was fun. And then I saw you guys, and I tried to watch the morning table. I kind of understood what y'all were saying this year just from listening to y'all for so long on the podcast. So when I saw y'all actually betting with money, I came back around and I talked to both of y'all. And you were helping me out on what to bet, so because I started with 100 and it went down to like $30. And I remember I got the roll, and I think I had a pretty good roll, whatever, maybe like 12 times or something, or give or take. And I built it back up, like I'm 100 back, so I didn't lose any money. And then bam, kind of started. And so overall, man, I had a good time. I hit 12 4-of-a-kinds, 2 were progressive, won some money on blackjack. So basically, I was up about $1,000 for the trip when it came down to my gambling fund. So it was an amazing time. I'm looking forward to next year. And keep up the good work. And I'll see you next year for sure. Bye.
Yeah, great to see you again, Wendell. Yes. He had a great roll, remember?
Yeah, he had I remember.
It was more than 12. He must have rolled at least 20 times, something like that, because it was a good roll.
It was more than 12,
yeah.
I hope the $1,000 goes into his gambling fund and it doesn't get touched by any other thing.
I don't know. I can't speak for other people.
Yeah,
Mike.
I just don't buy a coffee table or, something like that. That's your gambling money.
Yeah. Now, if you need a washing machine, go ahead and spring for that. But beyond that, I agree. Just put it right back into the gambling fund. All right, one more call from Andrew.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Andrew from Virginia. Just wanted to give you a trip report from last week. I was out in Vegas for the SEMA show. It was a work conference, but I was still able to gamble a little bit. It was a pretty impressive show that drew 175,000 people onto the strip, and it was over the 2 World Series games, so that was kind of cool. All the sports bars were completely packed. You couldn't get a seat unless you got there 5 hours earlier or more to watch the game. So I thought that was neat. What blows my mind is how you can be down on the other end of the strip at Mandalay or MGM or something, and you say you're there for SEMA, and a dealer looks at you and doesn't even know what that is and doesn't even know what's going on. And meanwhile, there's 175,000 people down at the other end of the strip attending that thing. So it's only city in the world that can handle that many people, it seems like. But anyway, as far as gambling goes, it was a roller coaster of a trip. I had the worst thing that could happen to you, where on Tuesday I won a lot. I won big. Every table I sat down at, I was up within minutes time and walked away up. And then I slowly bled out over the last 3 days. But luckily, right before I left on Friday, I had a really good blackjack session and got most of it back, and ended up not being too devastating. But blackjack on the strip has gotten pretty scarce. I mean, even if you're willing to play $25 and $50 hands like I am, it was just no tables to play at. I mean, they had one or two tables open, mostly full. Like blackjack at Bellagio on Friday, they had 4 tables open, but they were all $100. And then the high limit room was 200 or more. So I don't know why casinos think blackjack is such a loser for them. You know, they still make money on it, but it seems as though it's just a dying game on the Strip anyway. I didn't get a chance to go downtown. We were too busy, but we'll say that BLT Steakhouse in Bally's was hands down the best steak I've ever had in Las Vegas. Normally, a steakhouse isn't that memorable. You know, it's always just a good steak or whatever, and it's pricey. But BLT was exceptional and definitely left a mark. It was very good. One other thing, I know you talked about Dr. Mike coming out here to Washington, D.C. to see the new MGM, or I think he's on vacation, but he was going to make a pit stop at the new MGM. I'm only about an hour away, so I'd love to meet Dr. Mike up there. So, Mark, feel free to give him my cell phone and shoot me a text when you're out here, and I look forward to it. Love the show, guys. See you. Bye.
Yeah, when are you going to
It's
DC,
in March.
In March, okay.
In March, yeah. And Lynn told me the dates, and I
that's
on
fine.
it. But it's the week the kids have off of school in March.
I'll give you Andrew's number. So
definitely. I'm definitely. I already cleared it with Lynn. One of those nights. Good. I'll just
head out there.
Head out there for probably like 8 or 9 when the kids are going to sleep.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, sure. And then you'll
just head out for a few hours.
And you come stumbling in at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
Let's go.
Like that. Good, let's
what are you guys doing sleeping?
Yeah, we ate at BLT Steak at Vimp last year. It was great.
Yeah, we had a good steak there too.
Yeah, keeping in mind that your sister did get food poisoning from the wedge salad that she ordered there.
Right, but that was the wedge salad. You got to expect that.
That's going to happen.
It says it right there on the menu. Wedge salad explains what it is and said may get food poisoning. Right?
That's right. It is good. Yellow asterisk. But no, it's true. The service was great. The steaks were great.
Remember the waiter was excellent.
Oh, it was fantastic service.
And the steaks were really good. Yeah, we enjoyed it. I was thinking about blackjack, and here's, Andrew, I think what it is. Blackjack players, not all of them, but in general, let's just generalize for a little bit, are very similar to slot players. People, they know 2 games. They know how to put money in a slot machine and pull the handle, and they know blackjack because they probably learned it when they were in 4th grade or something.
Yeah, if you know any card game at a casino, you know blackjack. Yeah.
Right. So that person, there's going to be somebody who's playing basic strategy or card counting, but most of the blackjack players are the same people who are going to play slots. They just take a break and they'll play some blackjack or something. And I think the casino would rather have them on that slot machine because it goes way faster, way quicker, and they make way more money. There's a bigger house edge. So they'd rather have them there. So I think they keep the number of blackjack tables down and increase the number of the goofy games where they have a bigger side edge.
That's an interesting theory. I never thought about that. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, but think about that because seriously, I think that I know prior to knowing craps, prior to being like 21 and we learned to play craps, what do we know how to play?
As far as a gambling card game, sure, it was blackjack.
It was blackjack, and we knew how to pull a slot machine, right? We knew what they were. We knew you put your money in, you pull it, and I think that's like a huge part of the population.
Theory. All right. I'm going to think about that a little bit. And next time we're in Vegas, I'm going to look around too, because I usually don't look at the pits with the card games and everything to see, how much blackjack's here.
But you do notice a lot more side games.
There are a lot more
look when we went to Hollywood Casino,
There's definitely a lot more carnival games.
There's way more carnival games than there were blackjack. And 25, 30 years ago, it was not that way.
Oh, no. Caribbean Stud was about the only thing you saw. Yeah,
right. And there would be like one table of that, and all the rest were blackjack.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
I mean, that's my theory. I don't know.
That could be. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Brian, thank you very much for the donation. Also, thank you to Jim from New York, who we talked about earlier in the episode. He actually made a bet for us on the Chargers, and he sent us a message, said, what does Dr. Mike want to do? Should I collect or should I parlay? And of course,
that's obvious.
You know what Dr. Mike's going to say. So he parlayed it to the following week, and the Chargers won again. So Jim sent us that. He said, a PayPal donation for the inimitable podcast hosts Mark Duvall and Dr. Mike, undefeated in Pai Gow tiles since November 2013. Good luck at the tables, gentlemen. We are. We're undefeated for Pai Gow tiles forever.
Well, since
the one time we played
November 2013.
Well, we can just say forever. We're up. But that's true. We're both up for that. You're up quite a bit.
I'm up quite a bit, and you know what? I need to never play that again, so I can always say that I'm up for that.
You can always say that. Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Michael, for the PayPal donation. Also, another Michael James. He's a contributor over at Vegas Bright. He says, I'm in Vegas November 5th through the 9th and was going to bet a San Diego Sockers game for you. Yeah, now see, the San Diego Sockers are a local indoor soccer team, and they are the best indoor soccer team. You know, here
in
we
the
complain.
history of indoor soccer.
It really is true.
But it's indoor soccer. It's not even outside soccer. It's indoor soccer. It's like up there with BattleBots or something.
Well, and the fact that you can't bet on it in Vegas is probably an indication about how huge it is. Well, we do have a good indoor soccer team. Anyway, he said he was going to bet on the Sockers. Then I realized Vegas is slow to embrace action on indoor soccer, so I'll just make an old-fashioned donation, which is so 2013. Thanks. And finally, Amy from Fort Wayne, she says she's headed to Vegas for her annual Veterans Day trip. Spending a few days in Laughlin. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Amy, very much.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, going to Vegas and Laughlin?
I know.
Yep, that's...
You go to Laughlin to gamble.
Right.
Right, with all the old folks.
With all the old folks.
And then you go to Vegas to go to the clubs and the restaurants and everything.
And stuff like
exactly,
that. Yeah. In Laughlin. We should, you know what? Seriously.
I know.
We need to go to Laughlin.
I know.
Just so we can report on it. The old people go to bed. The tables are all open. It'll be great gambling. And then, you know... There's all those cheap food things because the old people won't go in.
We would have a blast.
They'd rather not eat unless they can get it for 99 cents.
We would have a blast in Laughlin. I know.
We would have a lot. And you know what? I swear to God, I love sitting at a craps table with some old guy. You know, I mean, out at Harrah's, there's a guy. We both like him. He's kind of senile.
Yeah, he's over 90 years old.
He's over 90 years old.
I'm not sure how he gets out there.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's funny because he knows the game inside and out.
But he'll still ask some weird things every once in a while.
Yeah, like, you know.
But he has that Desert Inn jacket.
Yeah,
he's got
nice
an old
jacket,
Desert Inn jacket. Yeah. Boy, I want to get that from Bill.
Right. Let's see if I can get you in his will. I'll pull him aside next time we see him.
Mike would just like that. He'll open your water for you the rest of your life.
Yeah, so, who's Mike? Yeah, I thought so. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. What do you have to say, Dr. Mike?
I'm still thinking about that Paris outage.
I know. I can't imagine the logistics behind trying to... Yeah.
Wouldn't a casino have something in place for emergency like that?
Well, I think they did, and that was the thing, is I heard people saying the emergency lights didn't even go on. That's how catastrophic this kind of thing was.
Yeah, I mean, because pitch black, people panicking, right?
Sure.
Because, I mean...
Well, everybody's got a cell phone now and has a flashlight.
Not everybody. There's a lot of older people
all right,
in there.
But enough people do that it's not like there's no light at all, right?
Right, but say someone like my dad's in there, he can't hear the announcement.
No, that's true, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's, and he's got $150 in the machine, he'd be freaking out. Yeah. He would be freaking out. He'd be, Michael! He'd be yelling Michael at the loud as loud as he could.
Yep.
So anyway, that's all I got. I was thinking about that.
Very good.
The Chargers, just to update everybody, need to win 7 games.
That's right. 7 games, then we get our money back, or they've been donated to us by listeners. But we'll get the bet.
We'll get our money back.
But more than 7, then we'll actually.
So they're
win.
at 4 right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and there's they played 9 games, so there's 7 left. And they need to win 4 of those 7. So they need to go 4-3 in the final. I think they can do it.
I know. All right, let's not even talk about it.
Hey,
all right?
CBS Sports ranked them like in the top 10 teams.
Why are you getting excited?
I always do this.
All right.
You know I do this. This is my thing. I get excited.
The top 10 teams what?
In the NFL.
All right.
Because
we always get ranked good and then we choke.
Yeah,
this is nothing new. We predict the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl this year, and then,
It's the kiss of death, really.
Yeah.
One year I just wanted to say, they won't win 2 games. That's the year we're going to the Super Bowl.
We're going all the way. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.